Welcome back to another episode. This is Layla, and today we're talking about the occult rituals, Diddy, evil high priestesses, Kim Porter, and everything in between. So, with everything that has been happening actually with the Diddy case, a lot of information has been, coming up to the surface. And what I realized is that not just him, but, obviously there are celebrities that have been using the Inanna rituals, so the ancient Egyptian rituals of sex magic. There's a bunch of them they've been using, and so whenever I would hear some details about the case, it just would click in my mind. I would realize that a lot of these sacred rituals have been used to create more wealth, control, power. And so unfortunately, when these things happen, it creates a lot of misconceptions and distortions about those sacred rituals. And, the sad thing is that a lot of people put everything and everyone in the same category. They think that, these ancient rituals are all satanic, they're bad, they're evil. It's sad because, a lot of people are moving away from their own divinity, their own creative power. They're moving away from dark energy. They actually fear it because they associate it with, children's sacrifice and some crazy stuff like that. Mind you, when I do rituals, first of all, I always do these rituals by myself with my 2 cats. All right. I don't do some evil stuff that we've heard, that they've been doing with children and the tunnels and stuff like that. When I do my ancient Egyptian rituals, I always use my own menstrual blood. I don't use anybody's blood. It's just mine. That's it. It's really simple. I'm not going to get into too many details, but that's basically what I do. I use, the elements as well. So fire, air, earth, and I'm missing one. Oh, water. And the ether as well. And that's it. It's actually really simple. And the reason why these evil high priestesses that have been working with these celebrities have been, actually, I don't know the reason why they've been using children to do all these rituals, because when you do a ritual and people are in fear or they're under some sort of mind control, you basically utilize the lowest vibration. Fear is a very low vibration. But when you use self-love and when you use authenticity, this is the highest frequency on earth. So that's why I've been confused about why they've been doing all these stuff. But that's the thing. We cannot understand evil. Unless you're evil, like, you're not going to be able to understand. So it's actually useless to ponder upon, that. But yeah, what has been happening actually in the spiritual realm, while, Diddy has been arrested and everything has been coming up to the surface, is that Kim Porter is actually the one who's been working overtime in the quantum field to make sure that he gets his karma. Like, that's mainly because of her, because she's been going through a lot of different initiations in the spiritual realm, and it's been her mission basically to do that, specifically for her children that are still alive. And so yeah, she's been going through all these initiations and ascension process, but not here, but in the spiritual realm, to make sure that Diddy gets his karma here. And not just him, there's a bunch of people, but you get what I'm saying. Unfortunately, a lot of people that have been involved into this story or these stories are not going to receive legal justice, because what's happening behind the scene right now is that the FBI is actually selling the tapes. So it's a form of blackmailing. But anyway, I guess there's another term, but yeah, people have been buying their tapes, and that's how they've been making money right now, a lot of money. So it's all corrupted. It's obviously not genuine, but whatever, at least the information is coming out. So there's a lot of eyes, there's a lot of people watching and listening, and also noticing all the celebrities that have been silent. Celebrities are actually owned by media companies. That's why you see them, for example, being silent about that. But when it comes to voting, they're very, they're very loud about voting, because it's a marketing campaign. They're being paid to tell people to vote, because when it comes to voting, if you're at a higher level of consciousness, you understand that voting is not real. Voting is actually, it's a spectacle, it's a show. The winners are predetermined years in advance. Most politicians are actually groomed from childhood to become puppets, political puppets, I would say. So yeah, it's a big show. It's a big show, and they're basically harnessing energy. They're harnessing emotions, because if you notice, people that love politics are very animated. They're very emotional about it. So it's just a form of emotional harvest, energy harvest, but it's not real. And of course, if you do like voting, it makes you happy, you can go vote, but it's useless in a way that it's not real. They're not actually counting the votes, and it's just not a real process. Like I said, it's predetermined years in advance, and yeah. And the same thing with the Diddy case. He knew he was gonna get arrested. Like, it's not a surprise for him. They made a deal like years ago with him. They told him in advance that he was going to be like the public scapegoat of that. But they're still doing it, but like in a different way, with different, it's still the same people in the background, but you know what I'm saying, like they're using just different puppets. And especially during election time, it's always a time where celebrities are going to be renewing their vows to their masters, to the media companies that own them. So back to the occult rituals. So like I said, Diddy and a bunch of celebrities have been using these ancient sacred rituals, and I'm trying to I'm trying to be mindful about what I'm sharing. The reason why they've been getting karma, and also the high priestesses that have been working with these celebrities, the reason they've been getting karma is that when you work with these occult means subconscious and hidden. Doesn't mean evil. It depends on how you use them, basically, because they're just a tool. And so the reason they've been getting karma, and the celebrities, the high priestesses as well, is because it's about the frequency of intent. Their intention has been to control, manipulate, and hurt people. Like dominate, hurt, coerce, gaslight, manipulate. And these things happen when you deal with people that are extremely narcissistic, and they use dark magic in a way that has no self-love in it. So they're using it from a place of a very low frequency. Like I said, fear, subconscious fear. And so when someone does dark magic with no self-love, they're actually considered a black sorcerer or a black sorceress. And these people are genuinely just pure evil. Most of the time, they're actually possessed by an entity, an extraterrestrial entity that is not even here, but that entity is working through the fractures in their egoic mind, their traumatized mind. So most of the time, they don't even realize what they're doing until they pass away, until they leave Earth. And so yeah, that's what's been happening. And that's the difference between someone using occult rituals with self-love. There's actually very few of us who use these occult rituals from a place of, self-love and the highest frequency, which is love and authenticity. And so this is why these people have been getting their karma, but it actually took a few decades. It took a few decades because a lot of people are involved into this. The police, the FBI, the government, like there's a lot of propaganda. Actually, Diddy, this information just came through my mind right now, but I'm not sure if someone talked about it before or if it's known information, but whatever. I get these like intuitive downloads. And the one that I'm having right now is that the government has been using these rappers to put subliminals, actually, the subliminals that I have on my channel. So a lot of this music has subliminals in it. And it's actually the government paying Diddy to do that, and not just him, but there's a bunch of other popular rappers as well. And what this music does, because there's subliminals in them, that tells them to be gay. So that's why we're having this like sassy man apocalypse. That's how I call it. Because what happens is that when you have like millions of men listening to music that tells them to be soft, feminine, passive, to be mentally gay, what happens is that they start to become programmed to be mentally gay. So they start to devalue women. They start to control, coerce, manipulate women as well. They're not good providers, protectors, right? Because they're all fucked up mentally. But the lower part of their bodies is not gay. So that's where the confusion and the frustration and the anger is coming from. It's coming from the confusion, right? Because they don't want to be gay, but then they're mentally gay, but they're the bottom part of their body is not gay, and it creates this whole thing. And that's why that's actually one of the reasons why we've been dealing with the sassy man apocalypse, is that you have all these men programmed to whatever. The best thing to do as a woman when you're dealing with a man like that is not to deal with him. Like, just don't deal with him at all. Like, don't even get into an argument or a situation. You just want to literally come back to your bubble, your self-love type of energy, be in solitude, and really focus on creating the life that you deserve, the life that you want, and focusing on staying as much feminine as possible, because that's how you're going to attract the men that haven't been programmed by these subliminals and this types of music. I know it sounds a bit crazy, but I know that most of my content goes to people with, higher levels of consciousness. So I'm sure you guys maybe already knew about that, or it just makes sense when you're hearing about it. And by the way, if you still want to listen to this type of music, but don't want to be affected, of course, the best thing to do is to avoid it and to listen to Hertz music. But of course, sometimes we like to listen to like some fun music or something else. You can set an intention prior to listening to it, but honestly, I would try to avoid it as much as possible, honestly, because especially if you keep on listening to it like in a repetitive way, like it's going to be absorbed by your subconscious mind. So at least just be mindful of that, or if you listen to it, don't listen to it too often. Set an intention prior that your subconscious mind is not going to absorb. Pardon me. Yeah, and just in general, the lyrics are super degrading towards women. They're just degrading in general. They're very violent. Like, even The Weeknd. Have you guys ever listened to the actual lyrics? Because the melodies are very good. You know, his voice sounds good. But, like, when you actually listen to what he says, he's the most toxic and dangerous man ever. Like, he just literally brags about, like, hurting women, taking advantage of them, sleeping with multiple women. Like, can you imagine? And taking a bunch of drugs. Yeah, can you imagine, like, being a teenager, a young boy, and listening to that, like, over and over and over, and now it's in your subconscious mind, and now you're behaving that way? So yeah, a lot of propaganda is actually working through these. I mean, there's a bunch of propaganda everywhere, but in the music specifically, because people listen to it in a way that, you know, they're more relaxed. So their subconscious mind is going to be more, you know, they're going to be absorbing it better, basically. Especially if someone smokes weed and they start listening to that, like, you're literally opening your crown chakra and you're listening to this bullshit. Like, it's horrible. Literally horrible. It's pure evil. But the good thing about evil is that evil destroys everything, even itself. And I don't remember who said that, so I'm just recording someone. But evil always destroys everything, even itself. So what we're seeing right now being played out is evil destroying itself. So we have to stay really grounded into our truth. The best thing to do is to not let ourselves be distracted. I wouldn't even, like, go into the details about, like, reading about the case of Diddy. Like, we get the idea. I don't think we need to know more. What's more important to understand is that he's been able to do that because he's been having a support system that's legal. You get what I'm saying? Like, it would be so easy if the government was actually against that, against child trafficking, against the tunnels, against, you know, all of that bullshit. It would be so easy for them to catch everybody, especially with the technology that we have. So think about it. If we haven't caught those people, it means they're part of them. All right? So I'm going to end with, like, a positive note, because that was a bit, you know... I mean, I'm just speaking the truth. Obviously, the truth is not sexy. But I'm going to end with the occult rituals, because, of course, I said, you know, there are many different ways to use them. You can only beat fire with fire. Like, if you want to be more powerful than your oppressor, if you want to be more powerful than the legal people, I'm trying to use, like, code words, the legal people in powers, you have to use dark magic and you have to use occult ritual, but you can do it in a way. First of all, you have to do it alone, and you have to do it in a way that's aligned with self-love, the highest frequency on earth. All right. And then you can do whatever the fuck you want. All right. So I'll see you in our next episode. Bye.